Hi, this is Glenn McGrew, and there were so many comments that had good questions following up on my video about my theory about the boredom of psychopaths that I thought I should make some videos about them and share them with you. Hopefully this will be of use to you, and if you have questions or whatever, please do feel free to comment below. Okay, so one person, Samoa Silk, brought up the trolley problem that I mentioned in my last video about psychopathic boredom, and this person suggested that because he or she, I'm not really sure, would choose to make the rash decision, his words were not mine, rash, to sacrifice the one person for the group, that makes him a psychopath. I'm pretty sure Samoa Silk wasn't serious about that last bit. My response is this: there are at least 5 variants of the original trolley problem with varying degrees of ethical complexity. I would like to point out that the decision to sacrifice one would not be a decision that only a psychopath would make, but it may be suggested that one could come to that decision faster given sufficient intelligence. Perhaps also a more emotional person or a more religious person would have a harder time making the choice than a more logical person. I would propose this variant of the variants. Replace the anonymous group on the tracks with a specific group, such as a particular ethnic group, a group of criminals, a group of one gender, a group of handicapped people, a socioeconomic status homogeneous group, or an age-specific group. For example, babies, children, adolescents, young adults, older adults, or the elderly. Which group or groups would cause a person to be more or less willing to sacrifice them, or even just the one person? Would any of these factors have an impact on a psychopath? I suspect that some of them would. For example, a psychopath who was abused by a female might be more willing to sacrifice a female individual or group, or one might be more willing to sacrifice the handicapped because of a perceived lesser value, although examples like Stephen Hawking, Helen Keller, and Frank Stevens would counter that bias of those who are physically or mentally impaired. Also, if the individual or group were extremely wealthy and powerful, that would most likely influence people, including psychopaths, who are often self-serving and anticipate personal benefit. In other words, if you saw Bill Gates down there as the one person you were going to have to sacrifice, you might choose to sacrifice the group and hope that Bill Gates would reward you greatly for saving his life and letting those people die. Who knows what would happen? So this conflict regarding sacrifice reminds me of the story of a Buddhist monk who is summoned to the home of a rich and powerful member of the community. Upon arrival, he is greeted by the man's beautiful, sexy daughter, who brings him into the house and asks him to wait. After a while, she returns to him and tells him she wants him. She attempts to seduce him, but he kindly refuses because of his vows of celibacy, among others. She is exceedingly persistent and tells him that they are alone in the house and that he cannot leave because she locked all the doors and windows, and indeed he checks, running around frantically trying to escape, and can't get out. The only way he can leave is if he beds her. He repeatedly refuses, saying that he has sworn a solemn oath, but she is a spoiled young lady used to getting what she wants. Her voluptuous body and increasing state of nudity only heightens his anxiety because he is very serious about his commitment. Becoming vexed, she threatens to lie to her father about him if he doesn't sleep with her, saying that she'll say to her father that the monk raped her. He believes that this woman is capable of that heinous lie, which would ruin his future as a monk and bring shame upon his entire family, as well as the temple he serves at, and potentially stain the Buddhist religion. He also realizes that to give in to her will be bad for her future, and he cannot accept damaging her future either, no matter how attractive the proposal is. He cannot capitulate, nor can he escape the house, so he carefully weighs his options. Finally, he rushes around the house until he finds a knife and then plunges it into his heart, killing himself. He had realized that the least ignoble of his options was that because of the dishonor and consequences of suicide, well, they were still more acceptable than the other options left to him. Indeed, most people would give in to the woman due to lust or fear of the threat, or both, or they would refuse and suffer the ruination of their future. Few would see the wisdom of the monk's choice, just as many would be hamstrung in the trolley experiment. So I hope that gives you some food for thought, and I look forward to hearing your comments. Thank you.